All right, Benjamin, we are at Prospect Lab, our new satellite clinic. You haven't worked you haven't worked out of here, have you?
I haven't worked out here yet, no.
Okay.
Quite new.
You've been away a lot.
I have been.
Where have you been?
Yeah, so I started my second year of the program, athletic therapy, that I'm in. But more notably, I started my internship with the Toronto Raptors. So that started at the start of the season. I've been with them for every home game, some practices here and there, and that's taken up the majority of my time. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's why you're not at the clinic. And I'm a little annoyed at that, but it's okay. You're learning a lot, and you're going to bring that to the clinic once the season's all done. Once you guys win a championship, you'll come back to Elevate, and everything will be okay.
Exactly. We're getting right into playoffs now, so I'll bring a ring back for you.
Exactly. So the cool thing about you doing this internship is that it's been exactly 10 years from when I did the internship.
Yeah.
So I want to pick your brain and just get a better idea of how things have changed in the last 10 years. But let's start with where you started at Elevate.
For sure.
How did you get to Elevate and the crazy journey?
It's kind of a funny story, and I'd love to hear it from your perspective as well. But so I was in my last year of university. I went to McMaster, and for the courses there in the last year, you can take a placement course where you do your placement at most likely a physio clinic, and you get a credit for the course. And so I was looking around. I was like, where do I go? Do I go to Hamilton? Do I go here in Oakville, where I'm from? And I looked online and found some clinics around that had athletic therapists. I knew I wanted to go into athletic therapy at the time. And I saw a bunch of clinics. I looked up Elevate. Honestly, the main drive was how nice the clinic looked online. I saw the beautiful pictures you put up there, and it was like, wow, I want to try this spot. So
Our marketing's working. Thank you, Tom and Nick.
thanks, guys. And so I drafted an email. I sent it to my mom and my sister. I'm like, I hate writing. So I was like, guys, can you help me
I didn't know
phrase
that
this
they
better?
helped you with that.
Oh my God, yeah. I'm so bad at writing emails. You've helped me since. But I was like, can you help me? I just want to like send it out, kind of like a rough, let's see what happens. Sure enough, 2 days later, you email me back and say, sure, let's hop on a call. So you said, let's call sometime next week. Next week comes, I go to the gym. Sure enough, phone call as I'm mid-sweat at the gym. It's Mike calling me to interview me on the phone. And I was like, wow, I'm terrified right now. I'm sweating, I'm heavily breathing.
Was there a connection issue as well?
Did
you hang up on me and then?
Yes, I was I had to run to an empty stairwell. So concrete walls, everything. It was terrible. It was probably the worst first impression I could have left. But thank God that you could see something, because
I remember that because I'm like, fuck this guy. He hung up on me. So It's not a good start.
No, terrible start. And since then, hopefully I've improved.
I say you have, yeah.
And so then a few weeks later, I come in, I start my intern duties with you, and then ever since it's just skyrocketed.
I didn't know, you know what's funny? I actually didn't know why you did the internship with me. I thought it was to get hours for Sheridan.
Yeah.
When people ask me that, I'm like, I don't know. He had to do a thing. And
the best part is I had to find the placement before I applied to the course at McMaster.
Okay.
And so they say, go find something on your own, come back with forms. And so I came to you super late. Like, it was my bad for the poor planning. It was around early January. That's when classes start. And I come to you with these forms. I'm like, hey, could you sign these forms to tell me that we're doing the placement? And we were kind of like, yeah, whatever, we'll get to it. In my head, I'm like, I need these right now.
That sounds like me.
And so what happened is I just never got those forms signed. And I just showed up for fun on Friday. I didn't get any hours. I didn't get any credit for it. I just showed up for fun. Like, it was like every week I came by, it's like, I'm learning something.
So when did your hours start?
Never. I never actually counted those hours to anything. It was just, so the first 4 months during my school, I just showed up for fun.
No way.
Yeah, there's no hours.
Well, that shows your commitment.
Exactly, yeah. And I didn't think I had any hours for Sheridan because they like to have their specific ones and you need some field coverages and stuff, so.
Okay.
I've just been with you for fun, really.
Just for funsies, okay. So what was it like that first, I don't know, week when I gave you that one particular patient?
Yeah, so this was a few weeks in. It wasn't day 1 or day 2, but it was very early on where I was still kind of figuring you out, figuring the clinic out, figuring myself out. And you showed up one day and you said, I got a patient for you. He is going into surgery and I need you to do some work with him. And I froze. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean I have a patient?
I was here to fold towel.
Yeah, exactly. No, you said, here, like, low stakes, like, I'm here to help you out. I just want to see what you do. You kind of threw me in the fire. That's what you've been doing with me, and I really appreciate that. And that was the first time I got thrown in the fire. And then I had to design a program, some stretches, some mobility, some strengthening stuff for him. And I was terrified because you were so, I'd say, nonchalant about it. You're like, oh yeah, whatever, just go do it. Meanwhile, I'm sweating, freaking out. And then he showed up, I did some work with him, and it kind of taught me the autonomy side of things where, I was on my own. You were there and you were in the clinic, you were doing your own thing, but I was one-on-one and I had to converse with the patient. I had to do the rehab planning for the patient. I had to make sure he was laughing and smiling during the whole time, which, I wasn't used to just being a student sitting in lecture halls.
And what did that teach you from a treatment perspective?
I didn't know a whole lot about his specific injury. I won't get too much into it, but I didn't know a lot about injury rehabilitation in general. And so I had to look at specific aims of treatment and rehab processes for this injury. And while that can be very broad in itself, there was many more things it taught me. It's like, oh, I'm just looking at one specific area here, but I have to think, how many parts of the body are there? How many moving parts? It all moves together. And when you hear someone has an injury, they're coming in, you think, just treat this specific area. Okay, let's say it's the foot. I'm going to move the foot. But really, in your real life, you're moving everything. Everything moves as one. And so it taught me that universal perspective of you need to treat the whole body, you need to treat the whole chain as opposed to just where their injury or where their pain is.
And that's in school, that's what anatomy textbooks, like I was just telling our newest intern that is in anatomy textbooks, everything's segmented, right? Mm-hmm. Foot, ankle, lower leg, knee, hip, back, right, neck. And it's great. It's a great way to learn anatomy, but not necessarily function.
For
right?
Sure.
How did that experience with this patient? And it's not like I just kind of threw you into the fire and left you alone.
No.
Like we would have weekly meetings about, and again, to your credit, you always came with questions about, you studied at home, and then you would say, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. What do you think? Mm-hmm. And we would go over it, and we would scrap some exercises. We would swap them. We would modify as much as possible so that patient gets the best possible care before the surgery, because it was prehab, right?
Mm-hmm. Prehab.
So you did all the prehab, and then afterwards, I think, what is it? I took over for the first little bit.
Yeah, I think his surgery was around the time that I went off to summer to work, so
okay, got it.
I wasn't in the clinic as much, and then he came to you afterwards.
Okay, yeah. And what did that experience with this particular patient teach you about every other patient going forward? Because not a lot of students this early on into the program get this opportunity to work with patients like that, like
for sure,
as hands-on as you did.
Yeah.
How did that influence every other patient that you had since?
It was everything. Like in school, you sit in a lecture hall, you go to a lab, you learn some stuff hands-on here and there, but you're working within your peers and you're working within your faculty. You never work with the outside world. You don't know how to communicate with people. You don't know how, everyone is different. Everyone has different personalities, different ways they view physio and rehab and everything like that. And so seeing this guy for the first time, although it was just one unique person, it kind of showed me I have to approach this differently from just a person perspective, not even a therapist or rehab perspective. So that was probably the biggest learning curve for me. But then on top of that, you have the rehab portion where, at the time I'm still learning, I'm just a student. I have you as a mentor showing me and telling me all these things. But I have so much more to learn from a rehabilitation perspective, injury prevention perspective, prehab perspective, which, at the time I'd never even seen an injury or treat an injury. Now you're telling me I have someone that's going into surgery in 2 months. So there's just so many things you have to take into account that I kind of took all at once and got a good understanding of it all.
Did that make all the other patients afterwards easier to deal with, or how did you?
Yes, I'd say from a person perspective, for sure.
Okay.
Rehabilitation perspective, no, because every patient after, it's been different types of injuries, different intensities, all that stuff. So I'm still learning and I'm still adapting to a variety of injuries, but talking to people, anyone who knows me growing up would tell you that I was very to myself, kind of shy. But now, having been exposed to the real world and talking with people one-on-one, conversing with patients, it's really allowed me to be more comfortable and talk to people.
I'll say you've changed a lot from, I don't even know when the first time you came to the clinic was. I don't know, what was that, 2 years ago or something?
It was just over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It was January.
So in that 2-year time frame, man, you've changed so much. You've grown so much. I would say you definitely came out of your shell, and now you're more aggressive in the sense of tackling things head on and
Yeah.
tackling them yourself, as opposed to trying to go to me
Mm-hmm.
for either approval or guidance. How to do all that, and I would say the interpersonal skills, the things that you're talking about, how to talk to a patient, how to get them to trust you,
Mm-hmm.
that stays the same,
Yeah.
right? Amongst all patients.
For sure.
The injuries change, and you have to learn about back pain or an Achilles tear, and
Yeah.
there's a general framework, and there's a little bit of nuance to those injuries and how you treat them. But the interpersonal skills, I would rate that the highest priority of what you need to know in our field, and unfortunately, that's not what they teach you in school.
They don't teach you a thing.
Because in school, there's no time, right?
Yeah.
It's, hey, we want you to be able to treat these injuries, know what they are, have a basic competency on how to do this stuff, but there's just no time for the interpersonal. And unfortunately, not a lot of people get that even after they graduate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or it takes them a long time to develop that,
Yeah.
right?
It's such an important skill that you don't even think about as a therapist or as someone in undergrad or whatever. You're just thinking about, what can I learn? What grades can I get? Where can that take me in school? But there's a whole other life outside of school.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now they say that deals are made on the golf course. Tell us about that one day on the golf course where you had a great round until about hole 16, and then things just went so downhill for you, but because of a positive thing. What was that?
You're gonna have to remind me. Where were we?
We were at Nemo.
Nemo. I think you're gonna have to remind me about that one.
That's where you got the email.
Oh yes, I remember this one. What a day.
What a day.
Yeah. So
Really shit score for Ben at the end of that one, but
well, there's a reason why.
what was that reason?
I was nervous of that email, man. So we play golf here and there,
You're in there.
So this would have been September, late September, just this past year. Applications that came
Thanksgiving
out.
weekend.
Yeah,
It's Thanksgiving weekend.
it was, yeah.
Wow.
And so I had just applied to the Raptors, and knowing that you had the internship 10 years ago, I'd been coming to you for advice in terms of, what the placement's like, how things kind of go behind the scenes, what the application process is. And so I sent my email out to the athletic therapist, and I hadn't heard back from him for a while, so I was getting really nervous. And then we go golfing. Apparently I played okay, and then
Hole 16?
Hole 16, I take out my phone.
15 or 16, whatever
15,
it was.
whatever it was, I take out my phone. Mike and I are in the cart, and I look and I just go, holy shit, Mike. I show him my phone. We celebrate, we have a beer maybe, I don't know, can't remember. And we're just like, oh my God, I got the interview. Now, what do we do? What do I do, Mike? And then the rest of the course, I just could not think about swinging a club. I could just think about this interview and what I have to prepare for.
I remember the hole it was. It was that one where it was, I think, a par 5. you drive it, and there's just water. You have to skip it over the water
Okay.
and then onto the green. I don't know, whatever that is, 15, 16,
Yeah.
14, whatever. But I remember and we were right beside the water. And I don't know, you may have lost a ball or two. But,
Sounds about right.
But you got fucking rattled.
Yeah, rattled for a good reason.
For a good reason.
I'll take that any day. I will shoot 200 on the golf course if it means that I get that email again. That was a great day for me.
So what happened from there?
Yeah, so from there, I had a interview with the athletic therapist. So we just kind of talked about the position. He asked me some questions. It was a pretty good interview, I would say, in terms of like my expectations versus how it went. But then afterwards, I remember it was funny because he told me that he was going to get back to one of us sometime by the end of the week because it was the end of preseason. He was hoping that someone could start before the season started just so that they kind of get accustomed to everything that goes on before game one. And sure enough, the week goes by, nothing. A few days go by after that, nothing. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, I gave it a shot, and I'm glad I did. And then some random Sunday afternoon, I get an email like, hey, we'd love to offer you a position to the team. I was like, wow, this is not what I was expecting. But I think I called my parents. My dad was downstairs. My mom was out. And I gave her a call. I'm like, you should probably come home soon. And I showed her, and she was crying. She was so happy. And then of course, I reached out to you.
Yeah.
I was like, guess what I got?
I've from probably week 2, I've called you my little protege.
Mini Mike.
And you've called me that.
Oh yes.
But yeah, basically from that point on, I knew you had it. That's why I gave that first patient to you, and that's why it's been so cool to see your progression and your progress, and now you're legit doing the things that I did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I always tell you, just do them better. Just do better than me. I don't care. Just be better than me. I'll tell you all of my stuff, all my mistakes. Just be better than me. And yeah, so that's why I'm so happy that you got that.
Yeah.
And tell me what that first day was like.
First day, I don't think I've sweat more in my life than day one. First of all, it's really hot in some of the rooms there, so that could be why I was sweating. But day one was kind of hectic. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what to do or anything about it.
Being thrown in the fire again.
Yeah, exactly. Thrown in the fire. I showed up super early, and I just kind of stood around Union Station just waiting for my boss to kind of bring me in. And I just sat there for a couple hours and then went inside. And, you walk in and you kind of just get right into it. There's no training. There's no kind of like, oh, so here's kind of what you'd be doing. It's like, oh, I guess there was some of that, but there's no like training days. It's just like
fast paced. They don't have time.
Yeah, it's game day. It's it's tip off of
yeah.
the season, and you just walk in. Okay, here's what I need you to do. We need this tape ready. We need, these guys need this done. And it needs to be at this specific time because, we have to make everything on time for the start of the game. So, again, thrown in the fire, but it took me a couple days to really get my rhythm. But I'd say once I had the rhythm, it was very seamless almost. It seemed like natural being there. It was very good.
Nice, awesome.
Can you, I want to relate our experiences. So, what was your first day like, and what were your kind of general roles and first impressions there?
Yeah, so the first day, same thing. It was nerve-wracking, but weirdly enough, also calming. Where I was like, oh, this is where I should be right now. I deserve this. I worked for this. I worked my ass off for it. I skipped parties. I skipped the social stuff to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And I grew up watching the Raptors, so that was a very special moment for me. Honestly, it really hit me when they got into the playoffs. So my year was the 2015-16. Can't remember, was it Indiana first round? Whoever it was. It ended up with LeBron, which we all know how that ended. But
LeBronto.
Yeah, it really hit me when I walked out into the stadium on the first game day, game one of the playoffs. And you see, they had all the t-shirt giveaways. So there was all these t-shirts on every single seat in the stadium. And that was kind of like the calm before the storm. But then during game day, it was the national anthem. And the whole stadium was singing the national anthem. And that was such a cool moment because I actually got into this profession because I don't know if you know this, but I worked at a Benjamin Moore paint store.
Okay.
And I sold paint to the therapist that worked for the Raptors. Do you know
really?
this?
I don't think you told me that,
No?
but I knew you worked for Benjamin Moore.
So this guy walks in and I see an MLSE card and I'm like, I have to meet this guy. And the other guys were like, hey, he's coming to pick his paint up tomorrow. And so I go in and I made sure I didn't take a lunch. I made sure to stay right at the front desk to run into this guy purposefully. And I finally did. And it turns out he was the assistant athletic therapist for the Raptors. And we exchanged numbers and we talked all about this profession. I didn't even know it existed. I was already at York, and lo and behold, that program was also at York. Applied, got in, and then 4 years later, I walk into the locker room. That was my first day, and I saw him sitting in the corner by a table, treatment table.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey man, do you remember me? And he's kind of looking me up and down, and he's like, what do I remember you from? I'm like, I sold you paint like 4 years ago. And he's like, no shit. So then he became my mentor for that entire season. And that was my day one special moment.
Yeah.
But it really hit me, the full circle moment hit me when everybody was singing the national anthem. And you'll experience this because I think what are they, 5th place now?
I think they're top 5 or 6 right now.
So they're going to make the playoffs, and that day one of playoff, like the morning of, it's weird. It's almost like there's this buzz. There's the energy in the building's different. Yeah. And the cool thing is that everybody's coming to that building for one goal. The security staff, the therapists, the players, the coaches, everybody is coming to that stadium for one purpose, and that's playoffs and to go as far into playoffs as possible and to win a championship. And you feel that. It's weird. It's a weird feeling. I don't know, maybe it was a mental thing that I came up with, but for me, I felt that energy in the building. So that was cool.
We've had a few games where it's kind of gone down to the wire, and there's been buzzer beater shots or late comebacks, and the energy is insane. It's just a regular season game. It's not even the playoffs yet, and it is electric in there. And so, as you know, we stayed in the tunnel, like the visiting tunnel for the games, and you can just see the crowd. Everyone's on their feet. It's amazing, and I can't even imagine what playoffs is going to be like. We're only 5 weeks away, so we'll see how it goes.
And my year was such an underdog. That team, that 2015-16 team, was such an underdog team. Mm-hmm. That's when we had Kyle and DeMar and Valanciunas and those guys.
It's kind of similar to the mindset of my team right now. Is last year they didn't do that well. They traded for some guys, and then this year a lot of people were low on the team. They were expecting a similar outcome, and then they started hot and they just kept it going. So we are the same person.
Who's Mini Mike. Who's like the all-star of the team? Is it Brandon Ingram or?
Right now, BI, definitely Scotty as well.
Yeah.
Scotty was drafted there, so he's kind of been up and coming. BI just got traded here last year. This is his first full year with the team. But they're probably the 1 and 2 in terms of all-stars right now.
Who's got the best leadership qualities? Like who halftime kind of takes control of the situation and maybe in the locker room gives a pep talk or whatever?
It's interesting because there's so many of them that do. There could be a few more than the others, but their team is so connected and it's such a family in there where
that's cool.
Everyone is able to speak up. Everyone is able to hold each other accountable. And it's encouraging conversations that they have. It's never anything negative. But I would say league veteran Garrett Temple, he, I think he's late 30s, but he's the father figure of that dressing room. He is the most professional person you'll ever see. The way he talks to the team, the way he talks to the staff, the way he talks to me as an intern. It's just everything's so professional about him. And when he's in the room, everyone takes note that like, this is the leader in the room, and there's just so much respect both ways.
He leads by example.
Exactly, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that professionalism, because I'm interested. Because I'm working right now with a basketball player that plays overseas, and he's in his 30s, so he would be considered a veteran. He's playing with guys that are in their early 20s, and he does this similar things. What I think you're going to say,
Yeah.
But how does he portray that professionalism to the team? What are some things that he does?
Yeah, well, on the court, you could see it if you watch any game. The players sit on the bench, and I guess the players have their assigned seatings based on rookies, vets, all that stuff. Garrett will sit the closest to the coach, and if you look over at the bench during a game, he's always standing, always encouraging the team when they get a layup. If they just get one layup, he's yelling at them, clapping, he's excited. If there's a defensive play, he's just as excited. He's always up whenever guys sub in and out. He's the first one up, giving them a high five and telling them how good they did, or do this next time instead. He's just such a leader. He's so knowledgeable in that sense. Behind the scenes, when you see the work that he puts in at his age, he is so incredibly fit. He's so athletic. I see him in practice. It's obviously these guys are professionals, but just to see his level of competition at his age, and it's just because of the work he puts in.
And there's levels to that professionalism, right?
For sure.
And this is what I noticed in the league and just being around athletes is LeBron James is LeBron James because of his professionalism and the stuff that he does.
For sure.
It's not, there's a genetic component, but I would factor that as a small percentage of why he's so successful. It's the decisions that he makes off the court that influence everything on the court. So yeah, skipping the parties, or not doing stupid stuff. Making sure his nutrition's dialed in and his workouts are dialed in.
Yeah.
Working with the proper people to help him with that make him great.
Yeah.
Right. And so for any athletes that are listening, those are the little things that you have to do. It's not enough in the pro level to be good at basketball. Every one of those guys on the court is incredibly good at basketball.
Yes. And there are many others that are just as amazing that aren't in the league right now.
And they're constantly chasing for that spot.
Yes.
So you can be replaced like that, right? And so it's really cool when guys like that take it so seriously. Because you even I've seen it in the league where guys have terrible diets or their work ethic is terrible. They show up to games and practices but don't give it 100%. And then what ends up happening a few years down the line, they're out of the league. And they're playing maybe, overseas at some no-name team or whatever. And that breaks my heart because it's like you're there. All you have to do is put a little bit of effort in, a little more, and meet these guys and get some mentorship from them and whatnot, right?
I will say though, that was going back to like your welcome to the league moment or your wow, this is real. For me, it was probably the game 1, game 2, tying into the professionalism and the work ethic. Although we've been talking about Garrett and how professional he is, that was the welcome to the league moment for me, is just how regimented every single person was. And, as you're saying, there's some guys that are maybe not focusing on their diet or focusing on their rehab programs. I'd say the Raptors, at least right now, in the team that I'm looking at, it's amazing how regimented they are in terms of diet, rehab, prehab, everything like that. They're on the ball with it all the time. So there are levels to it, but it's amazing just to see like the lowest of the level from what I've seen is the most amount of work ethic I've seen out of anyone ever. It's incredible.
I'm curious, how has the medical team changed? I know they've changed a lot.
Yeah.
Because when I was there, it was quite small. It was a little bit weird how small it was for a professional NBA team. It was director of sports science, so physio, 2 athletic therapists, a head and an assistant, and a massage therapist.
Okay.
And like day to day, that was it.
Yeah.
How has the team grown and changed from a medical standpoint?
Yeah, so they have a president of player health that has kind of restructured it a bit. So there's still 2 athletic therapists. There's now 2 massage therapists, 2 physiotherapists. There's 2 strength and conditioning coaches. So there's lots of hands on deck in the treatment room, in the gym, and everyone's so interconnected in terms of what they're doing with the athletes. I'd say I can't speak for what it was like when you were there, but there seems to be an emphasis league-wide on kind of the sports science side of things in terms of biomechanics, injury prevention. You want to reduce these guys' risk of injury, of course. Obviously, number one goal for a lot of the teams is to get the guys on the court, win games,
It's money.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
they're not on the court, it's that they're an asset.
For sure.
And if they're not on the court, they're losing money.
Exactly. And I think that's why there's such a emphasis across some teams where you need to focus on the biomechanics. You need to focus on that injury prevention, because if you don't catch it, you don't catch something early, or if you're oblivious to it, then someone goes down. That's potentially a whole year out. We saw last year the highest number of Achilles tears across the league. There was like 5.
I was going to ask you about that.
There was like 5 within a few month period, and they're still trying to figure out some data as to why that might be. It could be overuse. It could be the workload. There was the Olympics.
Why do you think that's the case?
It probably. I can't speak for sure because we don't know exactly what it is. But my guess would be last year they had the Olympics go on. They had, or was it 2 years ago? It would have been 2 years ago, the start of last season. Olympics, they had a full year. They have All-Star break, and then they have intense playoffs. A lot of these guys, like Tyrese Halliburton, for example, tore his Achilles Game 7 of the finals. I think he had a partial tear Game 5 or 6, and then full tear Game 7. I think it just has to be the workload when you get into the crunch time with playoffs and all of that. And there's such a fine line to walk. You're in Game 7 of the NBA playoffs. You have been working for the past 9 months. You need to find a balance somewhere, but that's been the emphasis, has been that injury prevention.
And it's the risk they take, right?
For sure.
So it's the risk reward. It's, do I play in this game, make an impact, and win a championship, and whatever, go down in the history books and stack my resume, but also risk the injury? Because usually these, especially with Achilles, there seems to be always a predisposing, or most commonly a predisposing thing. Kevin Durant had the calf thing before, right? Klay Thompson, right? There's always this predisposing thing, nagging
sure.
little thing that eventually they take that step back, that classic, right? Step back, push off, and then it tears, right? So I mean, there's that factor.
And if you got to think, if you're playing 82 games in the year, you're practicing in between, you're working out in between, that's a lot of load on the lower body, on the knee, on the Achilles, even things we don't see. It could just be, oh, my calf hurts a little bit today. You don't think anything of it, but you don't properly rehab it. Now you play the next game and you just keep making it worse and worse till eventually it can't take it anymore.
Yeah. And
that's
at that level, these are the decisions that these pros make, right?
Yeah.
They risk it. If, unfortunately things do happen and they do get an injury, well, then they focus into rehab mode, and that's their next kind of goalpost, right? Recently with Lindsey Vonn, right?
That's what I was going to bring up, actually. Yeah.
People would look at her and see the pictures on Instagram and her story, 4 or 5, whatever surgeries and possible leg amputation, right?
Yeah.
And they would say, oh my gosh, she's crazy. But think about it. She's 41 years old. She came back, from retirement, won like 8 or 9 podiums, and now at 41 has the ability to, and she was favored to win a medal.
Yeah.
Imagine that comeback story. Like, they make movies about that, books and stuff.
And people
right?
understand that this is their life. Like
this is their livelihood.
This is what they've been training their whole life for. And then something happens a week or 2 before. You can't, obviously people are going to make different decisions based on their opinions, but from her perspective, I 100% understand why she did it.
Yeah. And it's not like she's blindly doing it.
Yes.
She has a therapy team around her that would have put her through all of the ACL tests and make sure she's able to jump, she's able to laterally jump, right? And run and single leg balance, all of that, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like she wasn't informed of the risks. She obviously knows the risks, and she also knows that this is probably her last Olympics, and then sail off into the sunset. And wow, great, I have a medal or not. Obviously, it didn't work out that way, but I don't think it was a crazy decision at all. Because
I don't think so either.
Pro athletes are not normal people. That is their job. That's their livelihood. They train, especially in the Olympics. They train 4 years for this one, 2 weeks period, and then it gets taken away. And if they're like, yeah, I can go, then they're probably going to go.
Yeah. Right? And our job as a therapist, like you said, is to make them feel safe, but also, or make them feel ready to go and that they are ready to go. But at the end of the day, if 100 therapists went up to her and said, it's probably not the best idea to do it, she doesn't care. It's her decision at the end of the day. It's her Olympics. It's not our Olympics as a therapist. We just need to make sure that she understands everything that's going on and that we do our best to put her through that training beforehand to say, okay, you can do this, see what you can do.
And I think so. It's cool to see the difference in the 10 years that has passed, because I think around when I was starting, that was starting to ramp up the whole sports science thing, right?
Yeah.
So let me ask you, you guys do a lot of emergency training, just as almost like practice, right? You the other day had to do something like that.
Yep.
A knee injury like a Lindsey Vonn, knee, leg, whatever, is a little different than something like a pulmonary embolism, right? Like what Chris Bosh had,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
How would you guys approach those medical decisions to be like, listen, you have blood clots. Is that still the athlete's decision to go?
Yeah.
Or are we shutting that down because you are a risk of a cardiac event because of that?
I would say it's slightly different. There's a couple reasons why, but basically in the league, things are under contract, under teams, they're under Raptors, they're under MLSE, and there's a whole medical staff to kind of make those decisions, where if we were to say something in the sake of the blood clots, our decision would probably be more important than the athletes in that case. But in Lindsey Vonn's case, it's the Olympics. Yeah. There isn't really, I guess there's Olympic committees and stuff like that, but you got to think like they're competing as an individual and they're going to the Olympics as themselves. They kind of have that decision. They have a team to help them make decisions, but so it's a little bit different that way. But also, I haven't seen anything like that inside and out of Raptors in terms of an athlete has this kind of predisposed medical condition or injury where we need to make a decision to prevent further injury later on. And so I'm not really sure how they'd go about it. I would have to think with everything they do from a musculoskeletal standpoint with injury prevention, this would become an even more serious case.
It's life or death.
Exactly.
Right?
And so they would probably take more caution with it is what I would say.
Yeah. But Ben's going to ask the Raptors, and then he's going to get back to us.
Yes.
I'm curious to ask, how has technology, like our clinic uses a lot of technology. We have the force plates, we have the anti-gravity treadmill, right? We like numbers, we like objective metrics.
Yep.
How has the tech changed in the NBA? Because I can imagine it's completely different than when I was in the league.
For sure, yeah. Lots of force plates, so like the ones we have. Kind of the exact same ones, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's league, maybe it's league mandated or it's just done across the league, I'm not sure, to do force plate testing periodically, just to make sure metrics are up, numbers are consistent.
What do you guys look for?
Everything. It's like there's so many different tests. Peak power is a big one. There's lots of hop, single leg hop, kind of quick lateral movement stuff that we'll take a look at, unilateral mostly. So those metrics are taken pretty often, I would say.
It's like a weekly thing, monthly?
I'd probably go more monthly. It's kind of like where you have time and whatnot, but I wouldn't say it's weekly. I think it's more...
Probably dependent on the player too, right? Like if
Yeah.
you're obviously rehabbing an injury or using those plates for a different purpose. And the cool thing is that you have a baseline on everyone.
Yeah.
So if they do get injured, Achilles, ACL, whatever, you can track their progress and have an objective. That's why we got them.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
Because I started getting pissed off on how the industry does return to play, where, it's like quad circumference.
Yeah,
compared
I
to the
literally
other side,
had someone last week come to me and say that. It's like,
Which is-
you're not going to return based on that.
which is so stupid because you're measuring quad circumference. In Canada, it's like by the time you get surgery, it's like 4 months,
Yeah.
right? If you're lucky, that's actually a quick turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine sitting there for 4 months, you're deconditioned already.
Yeah,
You already started losing your workout gains in like 2 weeks. You're already deconditioned. So now you're measuring, comparing to a deconditioned quad.
yeah.
So it drove me insane.
Yes.
Right. But now we can get an athlete on the plates before anything happens. So that's where we do those pre-season screenings, and throughout the season we'll do screenings to determine if an exercise program is effective or not. Right? Are they getting stronger? But the other value is that when they do get injured, now you can make an objective decision. Do a counter movement jump for me, and you can see the difference. If there's anything over 10%, you're not going back. I don't care what circumference your quad is.
Yeah.
You're not going back because you can't generate that power. So then if you go back onto the court or the field or the ice, you're actually at risk of an injury,
For sure.
right?
Yeah, because you're putting all the load onto one side. You're favoring one side more. You also are more deconditioned in this one, even though it may not look like it. I literally had someone yesterday on the force plates. I did a quad measurement because I wanted to see, I kind of had this in mind, and I thought, let me do a quad measurement and we'll see what it actually is. So I did a quad measurement. It was within 0.5 centimeters. Like, we can chalk that up to
Which is like, I think a lot of surgeons want within 1 centimeter.
within 1 centimeter.
Right?
Yeah, and that could even be up to like human error at that point, or clinician error.
1000%.
And so then I put him on the force plates, and we did we did squat, counter movement, Abalikov, single leg, drop stuff. Like, I went full out with it. Every single one, left side was favored more than
Left
30.
side's the non-injured.
Left side's not injured.
Yeah.
More than 30%.
Which is, and how many months? How many months is he now?
7 months. And it's amazing because you can see how he moves. He's strong. He has so much control,
Yep.
so much strength, but you never see that without this objective data, where I could look at him right now and I could think, you should spend more time, tissue maturation, all that stuff. Your strength and your movement is better than some non-injured people on the court right now.
Yeah.
But we put you on the force plates, and I can see that you will probably do something to your left knee if you were to keep playing and moving like how you are right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So without the tech, and maybe if it's a novice therapist or whatever, that, because at the 7-month mark, athletes start to get antsy.
Yep.
And they'll want to go and play pickup games or whatever, because functionally they can.
Exactly.
Right? They can run, they can jump, they can do whatever, because you've been training them for that.
Yes.
But now it's a pivotal moment in the rehab process, because you can actually really hone in on details of what the next month or two looks like, to start narrowing in those asymmetries. So then when they're truly ready to go back, they're not risking further injury or something with a hamstring or whatever, right? Even like Klay Thompson did something like that, right? Is it the Achilles and then the ACL, or the ACL and the Achilles? One of those.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm curious if now Golden State has been really, really good with their medical department, so I'm not going to say anything on that.
No, they are pretty good, yeah.
But they've been to the finals 5 years in a row
Yeah.
before they started getting injuries, so I think
Yeah.
they've done a pretty good job. But I'm curious, in cases like that, right? What led to that other injury? I don't think it's not related. I think there's a correlation somewhere.
For sure, there's got to be somewhere, and there's so many factors that come to play where it's like, you may not know for sure, but with this objective measures, we can kind of see that ahead of time and potentially predict something from, or prevent something from happening.
So what else? What else are you guys? You showed me the fancy shooting screen thing.
Oh,
That's
was
cool.
That's for their practice.
I would be there all the time. I wouldn't work.
Exactly, you would just be shooting. So they have these different cameras and screens where when you take a shot on the basket, it kind of just tells you where you shot, what your arc trajectory was, and there's it's calculated what an ideal shot looks like. And so it can see what yours was. Was it too low? Was it too high? Was it to the centimeter left, centimeter right of the net? And it like you saw, it is super cool. It's super fun to just play around for people like you and me. But for these guys, the amount of shots that they're hitting, they need to be able to get.
It's immediate feedback.
It's right away.
It's oh, it didn't go in. Why didn't it go in? Oh, because your arc was too low.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I got to load my legs more, right? I got to feel my heels more on the court, and then explode up and get that arc. And then you do it, and it's like, oh, okay, it went in.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's just immediate feedback.
Yeah.
And I can imagine if you don't have that tech as a team, I'm sure all of them do, but if you don't have that, you're now behind.
Yeah.
Right?
It's funny. You can see their numbers are amazing, and then you just every shot is in. And then I went to mess around on it one day, the one I showed you, and it's basically a scatter plot of where your ball landed. I was all over the place. I don't play basketball that much, so yeah, it's just funny to see that. But there's so much technology, like even some things that I don't know the full extent of, and they're developing so much more. It's all centered around injury prevention and load management in a sense where you want to get the most out of your player, but you don't want them to be out for long periods of time because then you're losing out on a player, you're losing out on wins, you're losing out on money. And we'll see where it goes in the next 10 years. Maybe our intern in 10 years will be with them and can tell us more about it. But
We'll make that happen.
yeah, exactly.
We got like a program going here, so
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But it's only every 10 years,
every
nothing
10
in
years.
between.
No in betweens. Yeah, so I'm curious, what do you think? Because when I was with the Raptors, you could kind of see a trend on how recovery or injury prevention things make it to the general population. It goes military, right? And that's typical of even most technologies, like the microwave is military, and then it trickles down into the everyday person, right? So military, pro athletes, and then there's like a 7-year gap until it trickles down into, everybody now is buying massage guns and those like recovery boot things. But so what do you think? What are you seeing in the locker room now that you're like, oh man, in 5 to 7 years, everybody in their house or most athletes that go to the gym or whatever are going to have this technology?
That's interesting. I wouldn't say I've seen any kind of technology necessarily where you can bring it back to someone's home or bring it back to a place like this.
It's tough. It's tough.
It's like a lot of the stuff is very NBA basketball specific, like on court stuff. I don't know, to be honest. There's, I'm trying to think of different teams that come in and the things that they use or what they do with their athletes. But honestly, a lot of the things we have a lot of the similar technology to things they have. Maybe it's newer, updated models, but maybe we're ahead of the curve. Maybe
we are
getting it early.
1,000%. We're one of a kind. We're the best. Everybody come see us.
Yeah, exactly. No, maybe it's this practice facility with the shooting thing. Maybe they can design that in a way that's more of a small, like with golf trackers.
Yeah.
It used to be these big simulator things. You have to go somewhere and you have to have all these cameras set up. Now you can buy one that sits right on your ball, and then it tells you exactly what it is. So maybe they just develop it to make it more adaptable for the person at home. But
well, I think definitely information. It's going to be data and information.
For sure.
I think that's the trend that we have to keep watching, and it will be, I think, individualized data.
Yeah.
Even to like your own genetics, and I think it's going to play into like nutrition, so nutrition-specific genetic nutrition profiles for each player, and I think that's going to go into movement and going into strength and conditioning.
Did they have the force plates and the anti-grav treadmill when you were there?
They had none.
They didn't have.
We were first, I think.
You were the first. For which one? Both or?
I think the treadmill.
Okay.
I think the treadmill.
And then
I don't know. I can't exactly confirm that, but based on what I'm hearing around the streets, I think we had it first. So the Raptors were a little slow on their sports science side,
But did they use force plates in 2016?
So
what did they use?
So my year, they just opened up the BioSteel Center. I don't know what it's called now.
Okay.
The practice facility.
OVO
right?
facility. Yeah, OVO.
So What they did have was they had an embedded force plate into the actual court. So if you look at the court, you just see, maybe like a rectangular cutout.
Okay.
And so it doesn't look like ours where they're metal. They were underneath the ground.
And it's like a flat one.
And it's a flat, it looks like just like the hardwood.
Okay.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
And that's where I first learned of force plates.
Yeah.
But they didn't really use that year. The
Okay.
following year, I think that's when they started to use that type of tech.
Okay.
But that's how I knew about it. And just like with the treadmill, like when Kobe tore his Achilles, I looked up what he was doing for his rehab, and he used an earlier version of the treadmill that we have. And I'm like, oh my God, when I have a clinic, I'm buying that because it's such a good piece of technology. So we did. And with the force plates, I looked at what the Raptors were going to do with them. And I was like, oh my God, that's genius. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
It gives you so much more information. And
For sure.
same thing, right?
Yeah.
So
And
I don't know
now-
how they use it now. But
Well, now there's data all the time. Like I was saying, all the different tests you do, but there's 15 guys on the roster, and you have to do these tests, monthly, every other month, however long it's mandated for. You have to fit these guys in at different times. There's always someone getting tested. It's amazing to see how much they are using and relying on these objective numbers when they're pro athletes. You look at them on the TV and everything looks like they're moving perfectly fine. They're moving amazing. But then you just have these objective numbers to really pinpoint specific imbalances to work on that injury prevention.
we're gonna have to do a part 2. So once you guys win a championship, you'll bring your ring in, you'll show it off, and I want to really dig a little bit deeper into this nerdy stuff.
For sure.
But for now, what are your predictions for the end of the season and into playoffs?
In terms of how we do,
Yeah.
well, ring for sure.
Okay.
Okay, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I want them to win. I'd be thrilled, not even for me being part of the team, just to see them as people, know who they are, know how hard they've worked, and to see their efforts pay off would mean the world. And it's amazing to see that, how far they've come already.
Who is the top competitor for the Raptors in the playoffs? Like, what's the word in the locker room? Who are they not most afraid of, but most intimidated by as a team?
Not afraid of anyone.
There you go. Let's go. Ben, I really, truly, I really love seeing your progress from whatever it was 2 years ago to now. And I'm super excited to see what next 2, 6 years bring for you.
It's all because of you and your.
No, it's not. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't
All right,
do
man.
that.
We're going to do a part 2 soon. Appreciate you.
Thank you.